Um, and then Maddie, once you're ready, we can start recording, which I see you've done. So hi everyone, really great to see you all, and hard to believe that our program is coming to a close today. Thank you all for being part of the first cohort. You all were our guinea pigs, really testing out this curriculum and this style of learning and immersion. So I definitely have had a really great time. And excited to like have this last opportunity with you all. But it won't actually be the last opportunity because we'll definitely be staying in touch as we continue our work together. And welcome to our final session titled A Spooky Good Savings Spree, Uncovering the Opportunity of the Inflation Reduction Act. I figured uh, while we have a holiday, why not make the most of it? So quick reminder before we start to change your Zoom title to reflect your name, your associated organization, and your pronouns. Okay, so setting up the schedule for our workshop today, we will first kick off with a fun check-in activity led by Maddie, and we then have a presentation about some reminders of the Inflation Reduction Act, covering some content that we've talked about in past workshops, Q&A about some of those reminders. And then what I'm excited about is turning it over to you all to hear about your experiences. We have heard bits and pieces here through our convenings, but I'm excited for everyone to have a chance to talk about the projects you're trying to get off the ground, the projects you're trying to push over the finish line, and anything else that has been part of your journey. And then we'll wrap up. So highlighting our objectives today, we'll review old topics and also just to review and also talk about talk through new topics and recent announcements from Treasury. We'll then have an opportunity to learn from each other as peers about how your clean energy project planning and incentive uptake experience has been. And then we as a team will be establishing expectations for how you can use us as resources moving into the future past the completion of this program. And as always, as a disclaimer, we're going to be talking through some of our tax incentives today that are offered through the Inflation Reduction Act. So what we share today doesn't constitute as legal advice. Ultimately, those decisions will be on your organizations and your legal team. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to Maddie, who will lead our check-in activity for today.
Thanks, Jasmine. Hi, everyone. So we wanted to start with a spooky check-in to get those creative spirits stirring. Some of you might remember using the annotate feature in Zoom from our last workshop. So to access it, look near the area where you can turn your video on and off, and there should be a pencil icon for annotation. If you're using an older Zoom version, it might appear in a drop-down menu instead. So I'll give everyone a moment to locate the tool. Next slide. And then, so after you click on annotate, a sidebar will show up and you'll click a check mark. You'll then see an option of 6 different stamps. Choose whatever you like best, and use that for the next few slides. Okay, so our first question is, if your project could go trick-or-treating, what would it want to find in its basket? Would that be an investment tax credit? Would it be alternative refueling property credit, commercial clean vehicle credit, or low income bonus credit adders? I'm seeing a lot of investment tax credit. Very relatable. Oh, this is awesome. Okay, I think everyone's submitted. Thank you all. Next slide, Jasmine.
Yep, let me clear out those drawings. Okay, next one.
And then what is the sweetest part of the project you are implementing? Feel free to select all that apply. It could be cost savings, pollution reduction, progress to net zero goals, or advancement of environmental justice. I think these are all pretty good treats.
Love it.
Someone's
Thanks,
forgetting
Jen.
that. Yeah. It's great. Um,
Awesome.
Amazing. Well, I'm gonna pass it back to Jasmine, but thank you all for getting in the spooky spirit.
Yes, thank you. And I want to take a screenshot of this too, of this smattering of annotations, um, because I think it does speak to the impact that your work is bringing to your organizations and society at large. So I'll clear that and we can keep moving. So, switching gears, today I wanted to talk through some critical updates and titled my presentation, All Treats, No Tricks, Sweet Reminders about the IRA. While we're together for our last convening, I wanted to run through some reminders as questions have popped up, and then run through some recent announcements from Treasury. So first, wanted to recap elected pay mechanics, parts of the process, just to remind you of the work that might be to come for some of you as your projects round out and they're going to be placed in service pretty soon. Wanted to talk about elected pay and the e-filing that you will have to do as part of that step. And then you might remember last workshop, we talked about the greenhouse gas reduction fund, so just wanted to shout out some takeaways. As a reminder, elective pay and direct pay are synonymous. So you might hear me use both, and they are the exact same. So this slide is pulled directly from our first workshop back in June when Amy Turner, one of our faculty members from the Sabin Center, came in to talk about Inflation Reduction Act opportunities. And I just wanted to make sure and double down on these steps so you know how to go about them in the future. So first step is registration, and that is logging on to the IRS portal to register your project, which essentially means that you're telling the IRS and you're submitting your information about your project to the IRS for their review. And one of my colleagues at Lawyers for Good Government said this, and I'll repeat it back to you. It's always a good day to register for direct pay. This step can be done whenever you have project information available. So let's say you've already identified the person in your organization who has authority to submit this information. You know the latitude and the longitude of your energy property, and you have documents already. Those are all things that you can start putting into the system. Um, so I think advice is to do that on your own time. And after you submit, you get all of the information that registration calls for, you submit that over to the IRS, and they will take some time to review your submission and ensure that they can read the documents that you sent over and that they found all the information that you're required to present. After that, they'll come back to you with any questions, or they'll give you a stamp of, yes, we got it, and they'll give you a unique project registration number. Upon receiving that number, you will then use that in your IRS filing. So the next step is the IRS filing, which is to be completed in the following fiscal year after your project was placed in service. So let's say you put a project in service during your fiscal year that could have been July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. That means you're now in your following fiscal year and you have 4.5 months after that end of fiscal year to complete your filing. And you can request a 6-month extension. I'm going to dive into some recent announcements related to that. But that is your next step, is to submit your tax forms. And then last thing, which is the best part, is you'll then receive your refund from the IRS. I got to speak with the program officer from Treasury's IRA program office, and she reported that checks have gone out as early as 45 days after the filing occurs. So not sure if that will happen for everyone, but that is, as fast as they can go, which is really exciting. And I've already seen some IRS direct pay checks go out to some of our partner organizations. So it's really exciting that we can start to experience the excitement around this new benefit for tax exempt entities. And I forgot to mention that if you have any questions about the material I'm running through today, we're going to have a Q&A at the end of this, but you can feel free to put questions in the chat. So next topic I wanted to run through is e-filing. So nonprofits are required to e-file their direct pay documentation and their tax forms. And this can be a very complex and expensive process. There are some service providers in the market that are quoting really high estimates for filing services. So we've shared this feedback with Treasury, and we've also shared feedback on offering the paper submission option. And so we are waiting to hear back on feedback for that. But during this slide, I wanted to mention, you all may remember Jason Prince from our second workshop in August, who is the founder of Giraffe Financial, who participated in a fireside chat with us and helped to break down some complex topics. He at Giraffe has partnered with Lawyers for Good Government with an awesome deal for e-filing. Giraffe is now offering the e-filing service at a significant discount for tax-exempt entities who have leveraged Lawyers for Good Government's resources, such as the Clean Energy Tax Navigator. So while right now Treasury has temporarily waived the e-filing requirement, and they're allowing entities with a November 15th deadline to use a paper submission, Giraffe is just a great option. They're a great partner. If you want to consider that for your own organizations to comply with the e-filing requirement as it stands now. Okay, next I wanted to talk about the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, which is what our main topic at our workshop about a month ago, where we heard from speakers from NYSEG and RMI about how GGRF is a tool in the toolkit, especially for organizations that are comfortable with exploring those financing strategies. So as a reminder, GGRF can help to support clean energy projects, especially with what we're talking about with direct pay and how that's a delayed benefit. GGRF could be used to help to bridge financing with upfront costs. And and GGRF also in general offers really critical financing to communities and organizations who have historically been overlooked for these. And so as a recap, there are a lot of benefits to working with green banks over traditional banks. As we heard from our last workshop, there are benefits such as there's financing done outside of the traditional capital cycle. There is a priority and preference for supporting projects that reduce greenhouse gas emissions and yield energy savings. And there are unique underwriting processes with the added advantage of both quantitative and qualitative aspects. So happy to answer more questions about that, but I did want to at least spend a little time recapping the topic we had discussed last workshop. And then wanted to run through some updates from Treasury that have come out over the last month or two. First is the extension on direct pay filing. So on October 11th, they released announcements that all entities with a tax year that end between December 31st, 2023 and November 30th, 2024 have an automatic additional 6 months to file their direct pay forms. So this is really helpful in case you need a little extra time. And they still advise that when possible to fill out the Form 8868, which is the formal request for an extension, just to keep the process clean. But that is an automatic extension that is available to you if your project falls in this qualifying period. And if it's extra time that you needed, then here it is. And wanted to also run through proposed regulations for the 30C tax credit, which is for the alternative refueling property credit. So some of you all are pursuing this because you're installing an EV charger in a qualifying census tract. As a reminder, this credit allows eligible entities to receive up to 30% of the cost of a single item of EV charging, with a maximum of $100,000 for each single item. And the update here with the most recent proposed regulations is that they have defined a single item in a way that a charger that can charge two vehicles at once with two ports technically has two single items, effectively making the maximum credit cap $100,000 per charging port and not per charging station. So this significantly impacts the potential return on investment under this credit. So possibly great news for you, for those of you who are installing qualified and eligible EV charging equipment. Next, this is super exciting. So Treasury has launched a new clean energy storytelling program. The agency is really keen on documenting the real life stories of organizations, schools, businesses, hospitals, such as yourselves, and how you all are using clean energy incentives to reduce pollution, save on energy, create good paying work in your communities. So if you submit your story to the program, your information could be used in reports, public events, other publications. So wanted to share this opportunity because it's a great way to help inspire action among peers. Okay. And thanks for bearing with me, and I hope all of this information is useful. So this is kind of the last big topic I wanted to cover with you all, and it's one that we've lightly touched on, but haven't gone through on a deep level. So wanted to run through this tax incentive with you all. It's the 179D tax deduction, the energy efficient commercial buildings tax deduction, which has come up in some of our one-on-one conversations. It works a little differently in that it's not eligible for elected pay or direct pay, which is the benefit I've been talking about, where once you place a project in service, you receive the value of that tax credit in the form of a check from the IRS. It works in a different way where it is a tax deduction, not a tax credit. So tax deduction reduces your taxable income, which can then reduce the amount of tax you owe. So you might be thinking, I don't owe taxes. I don't know how this might work for me. And so I'll dive into the mechanics of how to use this deduction, but this would essentially work as a pass-through to you from your design firm, your engineering firm, or your contractor who is doing this energy efficiency work for you. And this tax deduction, it is a tax deduction based off of your energy use reduction. And if you are able to reduce your energy use intensity between 25% and 50%, then you qualify for the tax deduction. And this applies to project types such as building envelope, lighting upgrades, heating and cooling upgrades as well. So to qualify for this tax deduction, so there are two pathways listed here. If you meet the prevailing wage and apprenticeship requirements, meaning that you're paying the workers who are putting these measures in no less than the prevailing wage rates, and you're employing, or your firm who's doing the work is employing apprentices, then you qualify for the bottom pathway, which is if you hit 25% energy savings, you're going to get $2.50 per a tax deduction per square feet. And for every percentage of energy savings you experience, you'll get an additional 10 cents to be a maximum of $5 per square foot. And so just wanted to share some important considerations around this tax deduction because it's a little bit more nuanced than what we've been talking about with direct pay. Is, as I said, this incentive is designed as a pass-through from your designer or your contractor who would benefit from the deduction from their own tax liability. So related to that is there are potential transparency issues with what the design firm that you decide to go with might want to share with you, because that's taxable income information, that's tax rate information. And then these contract negotiations can be time intensive between that firm and your team. So I just wanted to share this walkthrough of the incentive. And if you have more questions about it, happy to chat offline about it. Okay, so we actually reached the end, and doing a quick time check, I think we have time for about 1 to 2 questions if you all have anything that you want to shout out. And Lizzie, I'm seeing your question in the chat, which is, can you stack the 179D tax deduction with CPACE funding? I want to follow up with that before I answer. So I can follow up with you on that. I don't believe there are any restrictions with using them together, but I will double check and let you know. Anna.
Hello. Um, so can you kind of go into a little bit more about the cost for like a nonprofit to file? Because this is something I'm now hearing, I've heard recently a couple times, and I guess I'm just kind of trying to understand why that is. Is it's a software issue, I guess, or maybe you can just give a couple more sentences on that, possible?
Yeah, totally. So, for my understanding, so local governments and municipalities are able to file by paper, which I believe has no cost other than um, the standard like mailing costs. With e-filing, there are certain softwares that you have to use to conduct your e-filing, and there have been the major tax service providers have quoted really high costs for that. So what Giraffe offers is a much lower rate. And if you check out their website, their rate is their filing fee, I think from the top of my off the top of my head is $350 per project. So I can share more information with you all about that in my follow-up email to you all. But that's exactly why we passed along to Treasury if there is an option to paper file to
Okay.
avoid that additional cost.
Thank you. Yes, that blew my mind that we would be paying all that money just to file. So, but guess it's true.
Yeah.
So thank you.
You got it. Any other questions, John? I saw that you came off mute. Is there anything you wanted to shout out to the group?
Uh, yes, regarding the 179D, I just wanted to understand that a little better. So
Sure.
we're not-for-profit hospital, so we don't pay any tax. So the contractor would get the benefit of that, and then it would be up to us to negotiate with the contractor that he passed that back to us.
Yes.
Okay.
So as you just said out loud, there is a little bit more, there are more parties engaged to obtaining that incentive. Um, and I think it ultimately will depend on the arrangement you set up with in the contract and the terms that you set up with your contractor. There's a possibility where in an RFP for work, you could include a clause that that contract firm must work with you to pass through that tax deduction. But I think that something that you'll want to stress with them is an emphasis on the transparency they can provide as much as they would like to, but acknowledging that that is not in your control and it could be a unique experience for each organization trying to leverage this incentive.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. And Anna, yes.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to say, actually, we have had some New York City Health and Hospitals. We've had some experience with the 179D. It's complicated. And like Jasmine just said, it's unique. So if you are like really considering it, you have questions, I'm happy to let you know how our experience was.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Anna. Appreciate you offering your help. Jen, I actually was going to make Anna our last one, but please type in your question in the chat and then we'll get to it. Thanks. Okay, so we've now, I really wanted to make a lot of time to have you all run through your peer presentations. I'm really excited about this part of the workshop because up until this point, we haven't had a readout of everyone's projects and experiences. So as a quick recap, you all might remember this ask from last workshop, but we will be turning the mics over to you all to hear about yourselves, the work that you've been doing at your organizations, the projects you've been designing and implementing, and what you took away from the academy. So here are the prompts up on the slides, and we'll keep those up so you know, so you have a guide for what to share with the group. And I really want to stress using no more than 2 minutes, just because we have a lot of folks to run through. But first, I wanted to flash this map up again. This was a map that we had shown the first workshop back in June, believe it or not. I can't believe it's already been 4 or 5 months at this point, but it's incredible to see how this group is based in places all over the country and is made up of a lot of different types of organizations, from affordable housing organizations to universities. And you all here are the leaders in implementation in this country. And the reality is, a lot of people still haven't heard about the federal incentives that are available, and they don't know how much support is contained in the legislation that passed 2 years ago. So I wanted to first applaud you all in being the first ones to get projects off the ground. And it offers a cool opportunity to bring up those who aren't at this point yet. And to kind of kick us off with the queue of peer presentations, I wanted to give a quick announcement that we have a teaser video going out today that features 3 of the members of our group. I'll be sharing that link out with everybody, but we're really excited to feature Anne from University of New Mexico, Lizzie from Big Sky Snow, and Hamlet and Aaron from Loyola University, who are all able to take footage and photos of the projects they've been running and leading, and they will be leveraging IRA incentives in paying for those projects. So I actually wanted to call them up first to talk about their projects and their experiences. So Lizzie, I will pick on you to kick us off here.
Lizzie, as you start, I'm just going to remind everyone, 2 minutes. I'm keeping time. I will remind you 30 seconds in the chat, and I may interrupt if you go over 2. So Lizzie, thanks so much for kicking us off, and it's over to you.
Cool. No pressure. Cool. Hi, everyone. I'm Lizzie Payton. My video has been stalling today, so I'm sorry if I'm frozen. But we I'm a director of a nonprofit called Big Sky Sustainability Network Organization, and we collaborated with a local other 501c3, the Big Sky Community Housing Trust, on creating or implementing rooftop solar onto workforce housing that's affordable. And we have made a lot of progress over the last few months. Jasmine has been really integral in helping us understand how to leverage both the direct pay and then eligibility that's additional to that. And so that's been really good. Our project is complex in ownership, as Snow funded the solar panels and the Housing Trust owns the structure. So we're still figuring out exactly how everything irons out, but we are eligible for up to 50% of our almost $300,000 project to be funded through IRA, direct pay, and eligibility. The key takeaways from the time in the academy are: this is complex, step number 1. And step number 2, I think, as we go forward, particularly as collaborating entities that are both nonprofits, that Snow will help with the facilitation of the paperwork on the front end, but we'll actually have the Housing Trust as the applying entity, as they're the owner of the structure itself. Also, another key takeaway of this is that there are so many opportunities out there for us as an organization to educate local, thank you, Miguel, local developers on, because Big Sky is a very rapidly growing space. And so I looked at that 179D and I'm like, perfect. I will be sharing that with the largest local developers. So really appreciate everybody's time.
Thanks so much, Lizzie, and love the spider in your background and appreciate you sharing your experience. Already, next I wanted to call up Anne from the University of New Mexico.
Thanks, Jasmine. Anne Jekyll. I'm the Director of Sustainability at the University of New Mexico. And over the course of the Clean Energy Academy, we've made progress on 3 solar projects at 3 separate sites that total 420 kilowatts, and we have 4 different EV chargers. And we're also scoping a large direct use geothermal project. So via my calculations, if all goes well, plus some utility rebates, plus the IRA direct pay, this should bring UNM $450,000 in the next couple of years. And the kind of the highlight of my Clean Energy Academy time was applying for and getting an allocation for the low income communities bonus credit on our qualifying solar project. So that's another 10% for that project. So it'll be 40% total for the project because it's under a megawatt. So we're kind of guaranteed that first 30. One takeaway I think I'd share with you all is that we're all in this together, and it's really worth engaging in the communities of practice around direct pay. It seems like everybody's kind of making it up as we go along, even the IRS. And having this community to bounce ideas off of and ask questions to has been incredibly valuable. So some special shout outs to Jasmine for answering my many esoteric and pointed questions along the way, to Anna Speed from New York City Health and Hospital for providing clutch support during the low income communities bonus process when questions came up. And Aaron, I don't know how to say your last name, Aaron Dernbaugh from Loyola University Chicago, because he's shared a lot of what he's learned about direct use geothermal. So I'm really grateful for this opportunity and for everybody's help, and hope we can continue to help each other because I really have leaned on this community.
Thanks so much, Anne. Super exciting. Aaron, I think I saw you were coming off mute.
Sure. Yeah, I'll jump right
But
in.
yeah, wanted to call you up as the next one with Loyola University Chicago.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks for the collegiality, Anne. So, and the shout out, but also it's a two-way street, of course. So Aaron Dernbaugh, Director of Sustainability here at Loyola University Chicago. And let me just give a thank you formally to my colleague Hamlet Gonzalez, who you will see in the video, the teaser video. I was out of town, so he got to feature our work. We're really proud of it. And he, as the Director of Operations, is really critical to all of this, as is our whole team. So maybe I'll jump ahead. It's a geothermal project, about a $4 million project. We're hoping, depending on exactly how the domestic content aspects fall out, to be, somewhere in the neighborhood about $1.5 million back through the IRA. And this is the first of many, so we can definitely feel like whatever we learned today is going to be applied multiple times. We're also looking at some electric vehicle stuff in the future too. But my takeaways, I think, just to follow on from Anne, the networking aspects are really important, both for our team internally here at Loyola, but then this cohort approach, the partnerships with others of you that have helped both in these meetings, but also after these meetings and follow-ups. And then just being a part of a cohort that's getting highlighted and shared with others, I think is really important. Sometimes the work we do goes under the radar, and thanks RMI for lifting up the work we do. And then just specifically on geothermal, it's helped us really understand basis and as that relates especially to the domestic content requirements, how that's going to be applied on the systems that we hope to take us from 30% to 40%. So appreciate learning a little bit more about what's similar and what's different about the different opportunities that are available. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Aaron. Yeah, and thanks for emphasizing too what Anne mentioned as well, which is the peer component and getting to work together and share lessons learned. Awesome. Okay, moving on, I wanted to hand the mic over to Anama with Sam and Lior. If Lior's on, but Sam, take it away. I see you first.
Hello, all. My name is Sam. I work for Adama, which is the largest faith-based environmental organization in North America. My role specifically is as the Baltimore Climate Action Coordinator. So something specific that I do in my role is I help organizations join the Jewish Climate Leadership Coalition and to submit climate action plans. So I assist these organizations in creating climate action plans, which details climate actions from the past year and sets goals for the upcoming year. So my job is kind of twofold in the sense that I'm helping my own organization with their climate goals and then also helping other organizations that are part of the coalition with their climate goals. So I think right now we're very much at a looking forward and planning for the future stage. Adama has two different retreat centers, one in Connecticut and one right outside of Baltimore. Shameless plug, it's a great place if you're looking for a retreat or something like that. But since COVID, we have been building back up, and that is definitely still the case. So I think we are really looking forward at the moment. We just had a great audit done at Pearlstone, which is one of our retreat centers. That's the one outside of Baltimore. We're exploring EV chargers. We've mapped it out. We're just looking for the funding opportunities. We're exploring solar. We have participation in a community solar project. And things are moving, but they're moving slowly, and that's how life is sometimes. But they're definitely moving, and we're looking towards the future, and we're proud of that. And personally, something that I'm proud of and that I'm taking away from my time in the academy is I feel better equipped to be able to talk to the organizations that I work with about these opportunities and these incentives, and also being able to implement it for Adama. So I feel like I really came in wanting to be able to talk about it and to be able to work towards implementation for our organization. And I feel like the Academy has really helped me with that. Thank you all.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, you definitely sit in a really big network. So I'm glad that you all have that important role and can also use this for your own organization. Next, I wanted to call up Tom from Bates College.
Okay, thanks, Jasmine. Hello, everyone. My name is Tom Twist. I'm from Bates College. And Bates is sort of like one of those old New England schools. We're in Maine. And in terms of sustainability, I run the sustainability office. Bates was able to hit our carbon neutrality goal in 2019. So there's a strong sustainability component here at the college. Because of the RMI workshop, I was able to make good progress on talking to our business office to get 4 new electric vehicles just last year alone, and some new EV chargers, 4 new plugs, and then we're swapping out 12 older EV chargers with new smart chargers. And that's all because I finally had the confidence to speak to our business office about actually the nitty-gritty of being a nonprofit and taking advantage of some of these tax credits through 30C. And then on the horizon, we're looking at a couple of solar arrays on our rooftops and the 179D efficiency piece, which we almost implemented over the summer, but our capital planning folks decided it was too complicated for a quick project. So, but we hope to sort of implement that in the future. So. And that's it for me. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Tom. You are busy with a diverse number of projects.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks, Tom. And next, I wanted to call up, I'm not sure if I've seen John yet from Catawba College. I think that there might have been a time conflict. Okay. Well, we'll give some love to John virtually, but his campus successfully registered for direct pay for solar installations on campus, and already has other projects that he's working on in the next fiscal year. So shout out to them. And Dulcie, I see you on. I'd love to bring you in to talk about the solar canopy you've been working on at one of your properties.
Yes, my name is Dulcie O'Connor. I work for Cincinnati Metropolitan Housing Authority as a development analyst. We are starting our first energy efficiency project, in which it'll be at Marquette Manor. So this is 140 units in a 15-story tower. It's all low-income housing, and so we're looking to install a 450 kilowatt solar array system over the top our new parking lot that's being installed there, and it feeds directly into that low-income housing tower. And then our project actually just recently received back bids on the solar array itself, so we are progressing forward with that piece. So I do really appreciate that we are able to talk through all of the opportunities of complex financing structures and being able to possibly couple LIHTC with this project. And so it's been great to see what fellow affordable housing groups have also been able to do and how we're able to kind of just piggyback off of each other's ideas and move through the process together. So.
Thanks, Dulcie. Really important work that you're working on. So thanks. And next, I wanted to call up Clean Power Alliance of Southern California on the very unique project you're working on.
Hey, yes, good afternoon, everyone. John Spector, I'm a program manager here at CPA. We are the largest renewable energy provider as rated by NREL. We don't have any actual projects that we've claimed tax credits for, but this has been a really helpful exercise for us because we were able to explore how we can utilize this. One thing that we ruled out is actually we don't want to take the risk for our utility scale projects to own the systems. That's just too much that we would prefer to have our developers and the private companies take on. But for our customer programs, which I work on, this adds a new level of program design that's really interesting. So on the one hand, if we can move projects quicker that benefit our customers and reduce our overall costs for the program, that's an interesting twist that we're taking into our programs. I specifically have been working on our solar and battery storage microgrid projects where we have had a few conversations with management now and are about to seriously make a decision of whether or not that's something that we want to pursue. So I just want to thank RMI for all the support here and go Dodgers.
Nice win last night, John. And thank you for sharing your experience. I think that your case has been really unique as a community choice aggregator and some of the decisions you're considering given the new incentives. So have been really grateful to work with you and learn more about the challenges that are in front of you and the opportunities. Next, I wanted to call up Cyrus from Emory University.
Hi, everyone. Great to be with you. We have been working hard across a large enterprise to make sure projects are connected. So we are currently, we'd hoped by this time to be underway with some EV charging that we had planned, but some difficulties encountered with permitting have slowed us down a bit. But we are grateful for all the conversation that we've been listening to about the complexities. So I think we are prepared and girding ourselves for what these projects will entail as we get into implementation. But for now, just glad to be part of the cohort and know who to reach out to when the specifics of our situation become a little clearer.
Great. Thanks for sharing about that. I know that as much as we want things to go to plan, there can be hiccups along the way, but I hope that this program has helped to empower you with the information you need to get those opportunities once things have commenced on campus. Cool to see your looks like an academic hall in your background. Alrighty, next I wanted to call up Glenn from Intermountain Health. Just double checking to see if he is online, and it doesn't look like he's here today, so there might have been a conflict, but Glenn is going to be working on replacing some aging hospital shuttles that they've been using and replacing those with electric alternatives. So he'll be utilizing the commercial clean vehicles tax credit once that time comes. And I believe working on other renewable energy deployment. Miguel, you might have better details given that you more recently spoke with him, but we can give him some love virtually as well because there's a conflict today. Next, I wanted to call up Jen Boothroyd from Northern Light Health.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jen. I am the manager of environmental sustainability at Northern Light Health, which is the second largest healthcare system in Maine, which is a pretty small state. So there's some context. When we first applied for and became involved with Clean Energy Academy, we had some very big dreams, I think, about what this could mean for new infrastructure for our organization. But sort of unfortunate timing. These last 3 months have really been sort of a time of unprecedented financial difficulty for my organization that we've been kind of struggling with. And I also think that I have a way better understanding now of just how difficult it is to get the different parties to the table in an organization that is as relatively large as mine, like trying to just engage the finance folks and making sure that we have the records and the documentation for projects from this person and this person and this person. So um, it's not all for nothing. We are actively planning to apply for direct pay retroactively for some charging stations that we have installed in the last year. And we have successfully filed, at least registered for direct pay, which was like a big hurdle. So there's that. And I feel like I'm close to getting all of the documentation. And really, I guess the takeaway is I've learned from this. I know going forward that it's going to take, I know, what to prioritize for documentation and who to talk to. But I'm also feeling really hopeful that now that we know, because our organization is in like a break and fix sort of phase rather than a let's invest in something big sort of phase, that hopefully we're going to be break and fixing things in the most efficient way possible, and that we might be able to claw back some of that money when we have to, and every little bit will help for us right now. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity.
Thanks, Jen. Yeah, thank you for calling out like some serious challenges, especially present in the healthcare sector, and also just a general challenge of internal buy-in and making sure that all the right teams are speaking with each other. So I applaud you for the convening role that you've had at your organization, and I encourage you, if you have best practices with that, please keep us in the loop for how you achieve that and secure that internal buy-in. Next, I wanted to call up Terry from Ohio Health. Take it away, Terry.
Thanks, Jasmine. It's been absolutely fabulous, and I just want to say thank you to Jasmine and the whole team, RMI. It made a huge difference. Kind of it's the agony and the ecstasy, right? We have gotten a lot of money back on the clean energy infrastructure. We've got a lot of charging station money back. I'm thrilled to see if we can get the extra 100, right? Because they are becoming more instant. I love to see that the ports might count, right? Because all of ours have 2 ports. That's even better news. But we've been able to get some funding back on some fleet EV, right? So we filed for that funding as well as for charging infrastructures. And I guess the only thing that is interesting about the charging infrastructure, it really helped us take it to some very rural areas where sometimes it's only the charging. So Ohio Health is 19 hospitals in 53 counties of Ohio, of the 88 counties, mainly around Columbus, right? So that's where we are. We have a lot of rural hospitals. So the agony is, but I think just like anything, it can serve as a guide, is that we did have some money from a nonprofit that we were going to stack with some on-site solar. And this group was absolutely wonderful in helping us get it. It was an energy community. Everything was great. It just took Ohio Health so long to figure out how they were going to do it. Then the Appalachian Fund took the funding away. And while it's not great, it's good, right? In the sense that when people now realize there's a time limit, right, on how willing people are going to be able to hold out money, right? It was a fairly small project, but we are lessons learned, and RMI and this group have been just key instrumental in helping our organization make those investments. And then I'd say a kind of new, other than obviously the money that we're going to get back from the IRA, that's going to be, when it comes in, is going to be wonderful. But another way that this has been very helpful is we are part of the United Methodist Church, and we are able to take the learnings. our head of mission found out about this work, and now this is going to be presented to our Faith, Culture, and Community Benefit Board Committee about the Clean Energy Academy, and then maybe we can take and help them look at ways that they can add renewable energy, because they've got a lot of roof space and capacity. So being a connector to this work has been an unexpected benefit that I didn't expect. Anyways, thank you so much, and I hope that we will still get information, because I know that we talked about possibly looking at even more funding for energy efficiency, and that's something that we've struggled with. Anyways, thank you guys.
Shameless plug. We have a federal funding newsletter that if you're not already signed up on, it comes out once a month. The wonderful Maddie Hall is writing it, and I'll drop a link to sign up into the chat if you haven't already signed up onto it to keep getting this up.
Thank you.
Of course, Terry, we're happy to keep helping, and I'll give it back to Jasmine.
Thanks, Miguel, and thanks, Terry. Really appreciated all of the run-ins we've had across different healthcare sector convenings and here. Next, I believe that Angie Oberg had a conflict with today, but Rutgers is working on a big project trying to electrify their campus power plant. So anyway, she is continuing the hard work there, trying to sort out that project. Next, I'll move on to Justin Canty from the San Diego Natural History Museum.
Hi, everybody. My name is Justin Canty. I'm the Deputy COO for the San Diego Natural History Museum. We're a 150-year-old conservation organization that also happens to run a museum. And we have an interesting building. It was built in the 1930s, and then we had a second half of the section built in 2000. In that new building, we had a really high level of skylights and kind of an energy inefficient roof. And so as a part of our 150-year anniversary, we have a $5 million capital campaign project to improve our entire roof infrastructure, basically taking it to be having less skylights, full solar system on the roof, and then we're also actually changing the shape of the roof to be more efficient, especially when it comes to weather-related issues. So it's a big undertaking. We are actually starting this project next year in September and October, and I would say that it has been really valuable to participate in this Energy Academy, and thank you to Jasmine as well for the extra attention, in that we're working with the contractor's rep. We're currently writing an RFP, request for proposals, for contractors that are going to take on this project. Now that we know we have the 179D tax deduction as an opportunity, we've actually included language in our RFP to include prevailing wage and apprenticeship requirements, so that as we're selecting the contractor, we're able to work with them to make sure that they can take that tax break and then apply that to us. So it's really exciting, especially in a project that costs $5 million, to find any sort of cash savings. And then if anybody is interested in seeing some pictures of the before and after for this roof, feel free to send me an email. I'll put my email in the chat after I'm done presenting. But thank you so much to the Clean Energy Academy and all of its organizers and the participants for giving us this opportunity.
Awesome. Thanks, Justin. Really hope that you can circulate that PDF to folks, because I think I'd love to also keep in touch as you navigate the project that's going to be going online next year. Cool. Thank you, Justin. So I next wanted to turn it over to Pat Hamilton, and I'm just acknowledging that I skipped over Anna Speed from New York City Health and Hospitals. I'm not sure how we got out of order, but we will make sure to get everybody. So Pat, I'll let you go first.
Thank you, Jasmine. Good afternoon, everyone. My role is the Manager of Climate and Sustainability Initiatives at the Science Museum of Minnesota. And back in 2003, the Science Museum completed the design and construction of a small building serving as the headquarters for our outdoor science park, a residential scale building, which at the time was one of Minnesota's first net zero energy buildings. But that was 21 years ago. And so a year ago this time, we started a process of applying to a private foundation to put a new solar roof on Science House. And through the Clean Energy Academy, we learned about the details of how to apply for direct pay. And most recently, through the combination of direct pay and working with our minority-owned renewable energy partner, we think that we can take both the direct pay and the direct cash incentives from our local electric utility and stack the two of them, and in fact do two solar projects, the Science House project, and then also put solar on the Science Museum's off-site research center about 40 miles away. So my key takeaways is that the Inflation Reduction Act has been an astonishing act of Congress and by the president to really accelerate climate action in the United States. But what we really need to do is deploy, deploy, deploy. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be part of the Clean Energy Academy and actually doing the work of actually accelerating the application of the Inflation Reduction Act.
Thank you so much, Pat, and really excited. Glad I got to learn about your solar installations earlier. And I also wanted to give you a shout out. Sorry for putting you on the spot, but you just retired this month and you're passing the baton off to someone else. So I just wanted to congratulate you on such an amazing career, and you've set up your organization for a lot of success. So
Thank you,
thanks for letting me put you on the spot. Thanks, Pat. So next I wanted to call up Anna Speed from New York City Health and Hospitals.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Anna Speed. I'm the Director of Sustainable Design and Resiliency at New York Health and Hospitals. So we're a municipal healthcare system safety net hospital. So we had two projects kind of in our minds when we started the academy. The first one is a solar PV roof install at one of our nursing homes in Brooklyn. So unfortunately, that one didn't move as quickly as we had hoped. So we didn't actually get to do the filing process with Jasmine, who's our liaison. However, a lot of things were clarified. And in addition to that PV project, we have a cogen combined heat and power plant getting installed right now, and we had some significant investment in that one. And that one made me very nervous because I guess the guidelines for combined heat and power weren't totally clear. So I would have to say the biggest takeaways from this academy was just getting clarification, and honestly, Jasmine putting a lot of this into layman's terms, because it is a lot to digest, and it can be very difficult to simplify it. So thank you very much.
Of course. Thanks, Anna. And congrats on the work that you've been doing at New York City Health and Hospitals. There's a repeat slide. Okay, next, I wanted to turn it over to Laura Iyer from Southern Sustainability Institute.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm very, sometimes I feel like I'm not worthy of this group, but it's like this really, the Clean Energy Academy has really elevated our position and helped us negotiate a lot and gave us some clout. So I really, really appreciate that. We're a small nonprofit. I'm in Athens, Georgia. Our mission is to do local sustainability, clean energy projects. And really, it was born out of the fact that we had the IRA funds. How are we going to put boots on the ground and really start to make a difference? And one of the projects we have picked to work on is with Habitat for Humanity. And it's it's a neighborhood with 63 homes planned, small neighborhoods for low income folks. And we're trying to figure out the best way to fund this and have every single house solarized. So we've made a lot of progress. We've broken ground with the first home just last month. And we're going down many different paths. And thanks to the Clean Energy Academy, you gave me some tools. We have a really amazing team right now working kind of all the different paths, of course, the direct pay and how do we structure for the homeowners to have the solar and take advantage of these tax credits and things like that. We had a great meeting today. Jasmine attended, and thank you for, again, giving your support and helping with that. It's been a challenge. We're 100% going to do this, and we're going to take advantage of the different tax credits or whatever programs are out there for low income households to solarize these homes. The one thing, I think it was we were going to do it, but what is the path? And that's becoming a lot more clear. And definitely, as we looked at all the different options, really the learnings that I had at the Clean Energy Academy have been vital. And it also showed us what we don't want to do that maybe is too hard, and what can we really realistically implement with the team that we have. So really, I'm super grateful. I hope we stay in touch. The other good thing is we're kind of, we're traveling a new path. We're not only working with Habitat for Humanity in our community, but we're kind of engaging other habitat organizations really across the Northeast and South. So it's gotten bigger than I thought it might, and that's kind of exciting as well. So thank you very much, Jasmine and Miguel. Thanks.
Thank you, Laura. I think I have to return the favor and say I'm not worthy to be in front of you. And I really encourage folks here to set up a virtual coffee with Laura, because she's doing incredible work with the affordable housing property in Athens, Georgia. And it's really inspiring to hear about the progress. And Laura, glad that we made some progress on today's
for
call.
sure. Yeah, today was just trick or treat. I got a treat for sure. Great.
Oh, thanks for the
Thank
pun.
you.
Yeah, thanks, Laura. Okay, next, Phil is on a flight right now, but did want to give the Wild Center a shout out for the net zero building that they're designing, which will have a solar system and a geothermal heating and cooling system that will benefit, and battery storage that will benefit from the IRA investment tax credit. Next, I wanted to turn it over to Rob at the University of Richmond. And
Thanks.
we have about 2 more organizations to go. So just giving folks a sense of where we are.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It's great to see everybody today. I'm Rob Andrzejewski. I'm the Director of Sustainability at the University of Richmond. And we actually formed a small team. So I'm with Emily, Justin, and Forrest as well. In terms of our progress, we're working on a campus plan right now. And so this group has really allowed me to talk about the opportunities with rooftop solar, EV charging stations with the solar carport, and I'm pushing to do some exploratory drilling for geo-exchange in the near future. And so the opportunities are there. We're also modernizing our campus shuttle system. And so I was able to talk about the commercial clean vehicle credit and really pushing for an electric shuttle. And we'll see how that goes. We've got a decarbonization plan. We've just completed a facilities condition assessment. And so within that, we've really mapped out, instead of just replacing systems, what we need to do to upgrade systems in order to decarbonize, which will help us a lot with 179D, and even just making justifications for retrofits, things like that. So that's been really helpful as well. We were hopeful that a new EV charging station would qualify from this 30C tax credit, but we learned through this process that it was not in a qualifying area. However, looking at the map, the ArcGIS map, we were able to, part of our campus, for whatever reason, there's a little wedge that does qualify. So when we're looking at a solar carport, we know the area that qualifies because of the work that we've done here. So sort of a bummer, but also an opportunity that came out. I think the key takeaways was the partnership with our internal team. Part of planning and budget, sustainability, and the grants office was really great and critical. We're all newbies. We're all learning. So another takeaway is that we need to do more work. I think this helped us see what we don't know, which is an important and humbling process. And I think this summer I can work with an intern, and hopefully can maybe broaden the group of people who work at the university who are working on this. And I just want to say thank you to Jasmine and Miguel. We will be going through these videos later on and returning to this as we start to submit documents. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rob. Glad you're getting an intern. You just mentioned a lot of different projects stemming from that campus plan. So very exciting progress and eager to stay in the loop on what happens at U of R. Next, I wanted to turn it over to John from UVM-HN.
Thank you. University of Vermont Health Network is a system of 6 hospitals. 3 are in Northern New York and 3 are in Vermont. I'm with one of the hospitals in New York called the Alice Hyde Medical Center. And for the past 2 years, we've embarked upon a strategic planning process to modernize our campus. Just to give you a sense, we have buildings dating back to 1911. The boilers that serve the entire campus, I believe, are probably older than everyone on this call. They were installed in 1960. So they're in definite need of replacement. One of the outcomes of our strategic planning process is we need to build a new logistics building, which will house boilers and the new technologies that we've been talking about here in the Clean Energy Academy. Specifically, we, over the last several months, have put out an RFP to hire an engineering firm that can embrace the new technologies we talked about, has experiences with the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, and all the things that we've talked about here. So the big takeaway for us has been the knowledge I've been able to gain through this process. We had 6 companies we looked at. We've narrowed that field down to 2. And I can tell you that one of the major items where we selected the 2 finalists has been their experience with the IRA, and we wouldn't have been able to make those assessments without the benefit of this program. So thank you.
John, I'm really, really happy to hear that. That's awesome and glad that we could provide the right resources as you were picking out your contractors and narrowing down. And I know that we're going to stay on touch about that too. John was our last, but I did see that Glenn had joined. So Glenn, I had briefly touched on your project, but did you want to offer? I would love to invite you in since you're here.
Sure, thanks, Jasmine. Apologies, I was late. Just finished a presentation for an exciting project. But let me really quickly introduce myself. Glenn Garrick, I work as the Systems Sustainability Director for Intermountain Health. We are based out of Salt Lake City, but we have hospitals across Montana, Colorado, Idaho, Wyoming, Nevada, Utah, of course. About 34 hospitals. We just announced the building of a children's hospital in Las Vegas, so that'll be 35 hospitals. We've got about 60,000 staff, quite a few clinics and other medical facilities and sites beyond that as well. So it's a fairly big geographic footprint and a relatively big footprint of facilities footprint. So exciting. I'm a bit of a one-man show, but we do have someone who's heading up energy and we do have someone who's heading up waste. So I meet with them quite regularly, as well as I have a designated support in supply chain. So no one reports to me, but I have all these dotted lines, which is actually okay with me. So the exciting news is we've got about 5 projects on the go right now. The not so exciting project is only one of them had funding, and as of yesterday, that project was put on hold for a year. That project was, I think I had heard someone say they were looking at electric shuttles. So we're looking to convert all 16 of our shuttles to electric by 2030. Our first step was supposed to be 2025, where we purchased our first 3 electric shuttles. Unfortunately, for funding reasons and for other cultural reasons, I think I need to do a lot more education on this. People are just nervous about change. And so we need to spend some more time working on both of those aspects. Intermountain has been quite challenged financially, as which I think a lot of other healthcare systems out there have been. And it's really slowed down the work. The good news is this academy has really helped educate me and the organization on various funding opportunities out there. And I just had a meeting again yesterday to talk about the various funding mechanisms out there. And there's a real willingness within the organization to really dive deeper and understand that, be it off-book financing or debt financing. Um, there's a real interest to understand it. No one really has spent any time on it. But thanks for the information from this. I was able to present that. And that's helped put a seed in it. So they're excited. There's a lot of projects, or a number of projects, solar canopy over a parking garage, two parking garages actually, solar field outside Platte Valley Hospital, which is in Colorado. They've got acres of land around that facility. They've identified 3 acres they'll never touch. So I propose putting solar panels there. Actually, aquaponics, which is where you raise them up about 8 feet high and then you farm underneath them. Super cool project, expensive project. It's not approved, but it's still on the books, and we'll see. The solar canopy over the parking garages is not approved either, but it's not dead. It's just not going anywhere at the moment.
Glenn, I apologize. We didn't have a chance to share with you since you were on the other project call, but we only have 2 minutes each per person. So do you have a closing thought for your time with the Academy?
Sure. I guess the last thought is the proposal I just got done doing was actually for an award. We've learned a lot about this, like from through the Academy, which is great, but sometimes you really need just to listen to your people. Someone in Dallas has said, hey, there's a sustainability award. They're giving away $7 million to renovate dialysis centers out of the blue. Who would have thought?
Wow.
And so that's the sort of thing. I think it's really important to note that the information from the Clean Energy Academy has been fantastic. So glad I'm a part of it, but you really need to spend a lot of time listening to your people because they have their finger on the pulse of their area, and it's quite possible some random bit of funding will come through. And so we made a $1.5 million proposal, which I'm excited about, and we'll see what happens.
Wow, that is not small, Glenn. That's awesome. Yeah, and I think that given how expansive your healthcare system is, I'm glad that you were able to put your ear to the ground and hear about that opportunity. Great. Well, thank you, everybody. I really loved that round robin of updates, and it's just so inspiring to hear about all of the great work you're doing within your organization. So thanks for coming prepared to share about your experience. Before we move into wrap up, I did want to put these 2 questions in front of you and wanted to gather some initial thoughts. First, I wanted to ask, nearing the completion of this program, how do you feel about these opportunities and the process to implement them? And if you could also share, moving forward, how can our team at RMI be helpful in your process and your progress on your projects? So I wanted to spend a few minutes, and feel free to unmute if you have some thoughts to share.
Maintain access to all the resources that you made available to us. Don't take that away, please.
Absolutely won't, Jen. Thanks. Diane?
So just listening to folks, I'd like to share our story more broadly across our network. Like, what did we do? But what was the opportunity that we were involved in? And just wondering if RMI is thinking about any closing document or flyer or something like that, so that we don't all have to make our own.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. So I already mentioned the video stories that we're preparing for the projects that have already gotten into the ground. But we absolutely are thinking about the communications of all of the progress. So I think what's important is we will depend on your updates and your information on your projects in order to inform like more documents and like one-pagers, reports about the things that you all are doing. So I like that seed. And right now, as we work on our video series, we're going to finish that out, but would love to think about more outputs and deliverables. Miguel, I see you have a thought.
Absolutely. Diane, I want to flip that question back on you. If we did a one-pager case study, just briefly describing your project, could we throw your contact information at the bottom so that people who are interested could reach out and get more information?
Of course, but it wasn't a case study that I was thinking of, just to clarify. It's more of a congratulations that we can share sort of upwards and say what were some of the major accomplishments of the group, not just necessarily the case studies, because I think it's difficult to convey the value of this learning, and that's maybe what you might be helpful in doing.
Yeah. Jesse, go for it.
Can I just underscore what Jasmine said on things like this social media videos that we've been pushing? Your stories and your projects are so powerful, and it can engender so much more engagement from other organizations like yours. We would really like to help tell that story. So I like I know sometimes we're all busy, we all have stuff to do. But sometimes that inspiration is like what is needed. So I just wanted to underscore how powerful I think your stories are, and how I would love to see them told. So that's what I wanted to say.
Thanks, Jesse. And Pat, go for it.
I hope that there will be future clean energy academies, and when there are, that the cohorts for academies can somehow be made aware of one another, so that the similar projects being undertaken by similar institutions could somehow make connections across one another, and particularly those in the most recent Clean Energy Academy presumably may be further along and therefore could help mentor cohorts in other clean energy academies that are just getting started.
Absolutely. Thanks, Pat. And those conversations are already starting about future offerings. So thank you for that extra plug. Maybe I'd love to hear from one more person, if possible. Otherwise, we can move on if anyone has any more thoughts.
And maybe as your Clean Energy Academy continues, like maybe there's affiliation groups that we could start to form. Like, you know, if I'm working on low income housing and you start to find others, we could be like a little group of our own, kind of subgroup, if you will, through this.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I already, you know, I think of you, Laura, working with Lizzie.
Yeah.
Lizzie and Dulcie. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you've already kind of started that with some of our group breakout groups. You put us kind of matched us a little bit, but then as you get more and more people, we can start to connect.
Yeah. Justin, the Slack is going to stay open. So that is definitely a venue where, you know, outside of these virtual convenings, we can move over into a virtual chat that can be accessible at any point. So great call out and reminder that that is still live for those who want to use it. Cool. Well, thank you so much for the input. And that kind of leads me into a very related topic of what are the resources that will remain for you all. So we've already shared out the slides and recordings after each workshop, but I will once again direct you to the web page where all of that is stored, the slide decks and the recordings that have been put up. And we'll also recirculate the directory. So it's a contact spreadsheet of all of you and your names and emails so that you all can stay in touch with each other. And also along the same lines, you'll still have access to us as program managers and the faculty that have come in to give guest presentations during this workshop. And then, like Miguel gave a plug up top, we have a newsletter that we send out once a month with critical updates from Treasury and other announcements about guidance and regulations. So would highly encourage you all to sign up for that. And I'll share out the link once we are wrapped up here. Next, I wanted to turn it over to Miguel for the next portion of the wrap up.
We get a car.
Even better.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone, thank you, thank you, thank you for your time, for your participation, and for your hard work advancing clean energy projects in your community. As a token of our appreciation, I'm pleased to announce a special gift from the RMI team to each of you. No, it's not a car, but it's even better. Drum roll, please. It is a mug. That's right. We'll be delivering a Clean Energy Academy branded mugs to each and every one of you in the coming weeks. They're great for hot drinks, cold drinks, and just like Diane said, for starting a conversation in your office and beyond about the clean energy experience that you all have been through. But wait, there's more. Next slide. Speaking of a conversation starter, we are also issuing you all free LinkedIn badges. If you look under your seats, and by that I mean in your email inboxes, you'll find a link from Verify Ed with your custom Academy badge. In that email, there's a big blue button. You click there, make a password, and then you can secure or view your blockchain diploma. It's blockchain secured. That's what I meant to say. Next slide. There's two ways to share the credential. You can either share a direct link onto your organization website, or my personal favorite, you can click the Add to LinkedIn Certifications button, which, next slide, automatically logs into your LinkedIn, populates the credential box, and makes a social media post for you, all with just one click. So we hope that you find this feature useful. Thank you all again for your hard work and participation in our inaugural Clean Energy Academy program, and we really appreciate your accomplishment. Thank you.
Thanks, Miguel. I'm excited about this. And if you all have any trouble accessing this, please let us know. This is super exciting, though, that we can help to spread the word about this program and all the things that you all learned. So to wrap up with next steps, so things that we will be asking of you all, and I'll start with your next steps. So bolded at the very top and emphasizing what we had shared with Diane's comment, we are really committed to helping you share your story and to tell it. And I would love to stay updated with all of you and to check in on some of the projects that many of you have coming online next year. So I want to stay in the loop, and we are here to help you write up any stories, throw any media pitching support behind your projects as well once they're coming online, because this stuff, we won't be successful as a country if we are not talking with each other and sharing the good news about these incentives. So really want to double down on that point. We're really excited to continue to help you all share your stories. We will be circulating a feedback survey to all of you because we would love to hear, we've heard some thoughts already, but would love to capture how satisfied you are after this program and if there are any areas for improvement. So we would love your input on that survey. We also have the America's All In Coalition, which RMI is a critical partner of. There's an all-in statement going out to double down on the US's commitment to climate action. And some of you all are formal members of the coalition, but in anticipating a new administration, we really want to help organize these organizations such as yourselves who are doing the hard work and continuing to advance climate action in your own communities. We would love your support on that statement. Also appreciated, once our mugs get delivered to me, I will be shipping all of them out to you all. So we would love if you took a selfie with your mug and shared that on social to help promote our program. And then look out for a Clean Energy Academy alumni reunion in the spring. We want to create another touch point for all of us. We won't be having these monthly workshops, but I did want to take a chance to check in the spring, make sure that we can get back together as a group, give each other status updates, any lessons learned, any shared experiences that we can all take lessons from. So look out for that. And then most importantly, as I've emphasized on the previous slide, stay in touch with us and each other. We've heard from you all that the peer learning opportunity was really valuable. So as Aaron said, he's going to be sending some LinkedIn connection requests. I hope that you all, with the email chains we've had together and hopefully other valuable connections you've made, that you continue to keep those alive. And yeah, together we will strengthen the implementation of these incentives, and we'll see more solar arrays and more systems like this in our society, all that will reduce pollution, help us save on energy, and create a better world. So with that, I wanted to thank you so much for being a part of this first cohort. You'll always have us around. If you want to check in and have a meeting, we're always around. And we're really, really glad that we got to be a part of this first cohort with you. So bravo and brava to everybody here. And until next time, until the spring reunion.
Thank you.
Thank you.